Oh, great. Cool.
Okay, we are there. Hi, Alice.
Hi, David.
Welcome. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Calgary.
Thank you.
So, um, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed a little bit, just thought the other day about, we've done a lot of interviews over the last couple of years, and you and I have done a few together, some impromptu ones, and they've always been great. And my idea is to just share with our communities, where we're at, how we've been this last year, and the bliss and the pain, whatever,
Hmm.
right across the spectrum, so I'm really happy to have you here today to share your experience. You know, you've kind of you left us and went to Europe, and even though the folks that might be watching are from all over the world, Calgary really misses you, and and
Oh,
and so it's nice to have you share with us today. How are things going? Tell us.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on, David. I always enjoy our conversations, and this is a great way, as you suggested, to tune in with the Calgary community, of many of whom I'm still really closely in touch with, and so due to, yeah, the global capacities and of the internet. So, yeah, thank you for bringing me on.
Well, I'm glad you're
Yeah,
here.
today I'm actually tuning in from Lanzarote, which is an island that I didn't even know existed on this planet, even though I've traveled a lot. It's in the Canary Islands, it's part of Spain. So I'm currently tuning in and having this conversation from here.
Nice. So,
Hmm.
but home for you has been in Switzerland this last.
Home has now transitioned to Switzerland. Yeah. So my partner Amir and I, we've been together for 4.5, almost 5 years now. And for most of that, traveled around the world between Calgary and Europe and a lot of time in Asia.
Yes.
And I kind of imagined that if I was to relocate anywhere on the planet, it would probably be in Asia. That here we are in, well, most of the time in Switzerland. And yeah, it was an unexpected move in many ways, but also a very welcome one because we had been traveling so much and living out of our, suitcases most of the time. We were really ready to plant some roots and have a home and ground somewhere. So we found ourselves in Zurich during the time of lockdown last year, and then we decided to stay.
Nice. Nice. So things didn't kind of go into lockdown. You decided to go there. You were already there. Uh,
Well, kind of a little bit of a mix. So this was back in January when, most of the world didn't even know what COVID was. It wasn't even called COVID. And
yes.
and Amir had been kind of keeping his tabs on the international news and said, "Hey, babe, I feel like something big is coming and we should really think about where we want to be if the world shuts down." And I was like, "Oh, I don't think that's going to happen. That's never going to happen." And anybody he mentioned that to was like, "It's never going to happen." But sure enough, it did. And so we had decided that if we were to be in one place for a long time, and we didn't want to be separate at that time and have to make that choice, so we decided to be in Zurich. He has a home there, which is now our home, and so yeah, that's where we've planted
Nice.
our feet. Hmm.
Nice. So do you have lots of friends there? How have you made, I mean, of course, it isn't a time when we're out visiting with friends this last year. So, but I'll bet you're building a community. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the very important values that I have in the world that is very important for me to create no matter where I am in the world. And we were, luck would have it last year when I transitioned to Zurich, we put on a Wild Women Gathering, which is something that started in Calgary, which had, massive, beautiful response from the women in the community. And so I launched one in Zurich about 2 weeks before everything shut down, maybe
yes,
3 weeks. And so, yeah, we had a big gathering of like 120 women. And
I
so,
remember the pictures. Yes.
yeah, yeah, it was epic. So I was really lucky to have met some incredible sisters there, who many of whom have become, really close to me and with me. Um, yeah, and then also in the summer things were quite open, and so we got to meet with some friends and share community. It's kind of interesting because in Zurich, a lot of people travel a lot, as most Europeans do. And so right now, what we're seeing is that a lot of people have decided, okay, this year I'm going to actually be in Switzerland for the first time. And so there's been a lot of heart being poured into creating community. So
Hmm.
yeah, we've been able to have a lot of richness in our life, even with the, slow shutting down sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. It's been interesting. I think the summertime here was the same. It was quite a bit more open, and we traveled a little bit more, so. But then this fall, it's been, you know, actually the last 2.5 months. I think a lot of people have been going through maybe even a tough time,
Mm,
what I was hoping to do is, to maybe to uplift them a little bit today, and just to let, I mean, what I say to people on an individual basis is, hey, we're going to get through this. And we're here together. And I think what's happening is lots of people are feeling disconnected with each other, with the love that happens when we're together in community, and for the having folks over for dinners and all that kind of stuff just not happening. And this too shall pass is um, one of my sayings, and that we're in it together. And are you I mean, maybe because a lot of the community that I know are the um, in the recovery community. And it's not as easy for us to go to meetings and to spend time together in the 12-step world. I think that there's been um, lots of pain, and are you seeing that? Are you seeing uh, people that are caught up in it?
yeah, I mean, a part of my work in the world is with Inspired Yoga Institute, which is based out of Calgary. And last year, we really had to shift our entire in-person yoga teacher training and shift that online and then back in person, back online, going back and forth all the time. And every weekend, we do a really deep check-in with the group. And that was definitely the sense that was going on, was like, people thinking that, okay, this is just going to be a month, this is going to be 2 months. Oh my gosh, it's 3, it's 4, wow, it's almost a year. And so, yeah, that I think one of the things that can be really challenging for the human psyche is when we don't know when something is going to
Yeah.
end. So
That's good.
that really requires a high level of surrender, which is
Yes.
much easier said than lived sometimes.
Yes. Because we've been living on the illusion that we did know. And so this is actually a display of the reality in a way that, what do we know? We really don't know. We just have this moment, really. And I was sharing with you earlier that I've spent a lot of time with I'll call him a new teacher that last year. uh, some friends of mine were in Rishikesh in 2020 with Muji, and Adrian, before Adrian left here, Adrian Bowley, to go. He said, "You come, just come," and it didn't fit. So I said, "Well, I'll keep I'll watch online." So I watched the whole thing in Rishikesh live online, and
Mm,
I'd always given him a pass before, and wow, he's so great at bringing us into this moment.
mm,
Bringing us into you know the reality of isness of that. So it's been a this last year for me has been an amazing experience of letting go, continuously letting go of the need to know, letting go of thinking I know, letting go of judgment, letting go of fear, letting go of and it really helps to have a great teacher, doesn't it?
mm. Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. I feel so. Yeah.
You
I
know,
know there's this year, one of the things that really has opened up to me, anyways, is the global community. And like you said, access to a lot of great teachers, workshops, wisdom, people that maybe at one point you had to travel across the world and spend thousands of dollars in order to sit near. And what a gift, in this time that there's an incredible amount of high quality content that is available, at any point in time if you have an internet connection. And so, yeah, for that, I'm really grateful. And, earlier you asked me if what I perceive is happening with people, and I've taught over a dozen online retreats, workshops, symposiums this year. And
Wow.
anytime, whenever I've checked in at the beginning, how are you feeling in this moment? What's alive for you? And it's a lot of, grief, stress, anxiety, frustration, anger. Um, and so, yeah, those emotions are also very real. And my wish, and this is one of the things that I teach in these workshops, is to be able to have tools to be able to deeply feel these emotions without bypassing them, and at the same time, not have them take us over
Hmm.
in our life either for an extended period of time.
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
do you, how do you do that? When you're working with people, like I know, like in short form, how do you bring them into uh, that place of letting go or surrender, or you know, is it through a longer process, or is it part of your
Well,
whole
yeah, I mean,
teaching?
there's some really like simple tools. There's some, many people call them emotional release tools, but I've reframed it to call it emotional empowerment tools because for me, an emotion is simply energy in motion. It's energy that is vibrating in the body that wants to move, that wants to express itself. And if we take away the label of an emotion being, good or bad or right or wrong, or I like this one or I don't like this one,
Yes.
and we just sense it through our body as sensation itself that wants to be expressed, then what that turns into is life force. But when we don't allow our energy, our vibration, our life force to move and have an outlet to express itself, then it stagnates in the body, which creates contraction, disease, stagnation, all the things that feel a little bit more tight and bound. And so, yeah, some of the tools that I share are really, letting energy move through the body. They're often very simple, a shaking of the body, throwing a tantrum like a 3-year-old, anything to just really let that flow move. I've got a good resource actually. We can maybe pop it into the chat or the comments later. But I
Okay.
recorded 5 video practices for this reason, actually, that I'm more than happy to share with the world and anybody who's listening. Or if you just
I'd
hop
love
onto
to do
my
that.
website, alicehong.com, and look under resources, there's 5 video practices. And I share some of these with you there. Different ways to release tension through the body, but in a way where you're not dumping your energy out on someone else, where
Yes.
you're not just like depleting your life force, but actually learning how to vibrate with your own energy.
And so, no matter what the emotion is, it can lift us up. And maybe I think you're talking about it like a higher vibration. We, instead of contracting and getting dense, we expand, or right.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I feel like, the low, quote unquote, lower frequencies aren't necessarily bad or anything either, or something to get rid of or get out of, but actually to give ourselves the space and the permission to really feel it all. And so there's actually a really great one, like if you're feeling numb or contracted, instead of, okay, now I got to make myself more expansive and spacious. No, just what happens if you give yourself full permission to go into your contraction? You're
Mhm.
feeling contracted, so let's express the contraction, so then I would get, like, if I'm working with a one-on-one client, okay, like clench your fist, get everything really really small, make yourself into a little ball, like even hold your breath, just go fully 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 into the contraction, and then when that round completes itself, then you can take an inhale and, okay, now let's let that flow. But never, well, for me, rarely to bypass an emotion or try and make it different, but actually to give it its life. Because often when we give ourselves permission to feel something fully, it no longer is like a scratch on the door.
Uh-huh. Yes. So yeah, I hear you. Um, so
Especially in relationship, right? Like if, for those of you who are in, I mean, any kind of relationship, but especially if you're in lockdown at home with a couple or your kids or something, like there's going to be moments where you're angry, you're frustrated, like energy needs to move, and maybe you don't want to lash out at your kids or your partner because you're tired, stressed, whatever. And so to learn how to really move your own energy first, to let the charge express itself, but not at somebody,
yes,
but to actually take ownership that this is my charge, this is my emotion,
yes, yeah,
and let me be self-responsible in taking care of that, and then I'll come to my partner, my kids, whatever, and have that conversation of what's actually underneath the intensity or the charge.
yes. Or like you say, allowing it sometimes, then there's nothing much more to talk about because it just dissipates sometimes. We
Yeah.
see that it really didn't have anything to do with them, that
Mm,
it was ours, and
yeah.
we can just let it go, and it's gone. And
Yeah, that's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
much less to talk about. So, what have you got planned for this year? If you did 12 things in the last year, you must have I'll bet you have more coming up.
I do. Yeah, I actually just mapped out my part of my year. There's always surprises along the way. And I always leave room for just listening to see what is needed and what's inspiring me. But yeah, I have, well, my main focus right now is Wild Women Temple, which is a really gorgeous online sanctuary for women around the world. There's 130 of us right now and growing, and who come together to really dive into a juicy theme each month that feels relevant to life. So, for example, this month is Body is Temple. Next month is Eros. The following one might be emotions. And so to really dive into these topics, and I offer a masterclass as well as an embodiment practice, as well as a live connection circle and ritual that we do together. And it's really powerful. And the idea is to create an online space where people can come at any point in time, to resource, to nourish, to get connected, to receive support. It's my online home, so I'm there all the time. And it's really beautiful what magic is unfolding in there. We just launched that a few weeks ago, and yeah, I'm super
Nice.
proud of
Could
it.
I put the link for that on here?
Yeah, that'd be
It-
great. Yeah, it's my website, alicehorn.com/temple.
okay.
The doors are currently, well, depending on when you're listening to this, they're currently closed right now, but there's always a wait list. We open a few times a year.
Okay.
And yeah, so get yourself on the wait list.
All
So I'm
right.
doing that. And then a couples Valentine's Day workshop as well. Usually I lead this live in Calgary. I think you may have been to one or two of them. Yeah, and so this year we're going to offer that online, which is really great. Um, yeah, and then a special one called Yoni Temple for women, which is to connect to the sacredness of your own sexuality. It's women only, and it's a powerful, powerful workshop. So
And you're going to
those are
do
the
that
things I
online?
have upcoming. Hmm?
That'll be online as well.
Yes, yeah.
Wow. So you've really kind of crossed the bridge then from, the face to face to being able to carry your gift to a much larger audience online.
Mm.
And and
Hmm.
and it and it's working.
Well, you know what? I think one of the things that I really didn't see until it started happening is that there's a lot of people who are finding, the work that I offer in embodiment, sacred sexuality, tantra intimacy, um, who never had access to this before. I have clients that live in like small town USA, for example, who have never had access to a community like this to be able to ask questions. And so a lot of my private coaching clients right now and women who are in the temple and coming to these workshops actually, I mean, of course, some people have years and years of experience, and many people are like, wow, I didn't even know that this world existed. So for me, that's so powerful. Like, most I was part of One World Tantra Festival online and Easter Festival coming up, and their data is that 70 to 80% of people have never done anything like this before.
Wow.
I was like blown away. That super excites me,
It,
that this
it,
work is reaching people. So yeah,
yes,
I'm
because
really
our
excited.
community, the folks that we know have been exposed for years to a lot of different levels of personal awareness and personal awakening, and they're living in their body, their temple, and chanting and mantras, and we've been on the spiritual path, right? And so it's great that you're exposed to a whole uh, new group of people.
Mm.
This video is on YouTube, and my YouTube audience is like from all over the world. People, I'm chatting with this lady the other day, on YouTube, where she's making comments, and I'm commenting back, and I said, "Where are you?" She said, "Ireland." And I had no idea, that, and we were just, she liked what my videos, and we've then we met on Facebook, and we've struck up a conversation, and it's really beautiful. So um, it is a new world for us, isn't it?
Yeah,
In,
I feel so.
in that way. When do you think you might come back to Canada?
Oh, good question. I don't know is the
Hmm.
answer. I've thought about coming back many times over the last year. And then, yeah, either with, the double quarantine of being there and back, or restrictions of not being able to meet people anyways. It just hasn't aligned.
Well, it
So,
doesn't make sense till maybe June. It really wouldn't. I can't imagine. My son, I was telling you, he was in London, and he flew home and had to quarantine for 2 weeks in Vancouver, and the truth is, he couldn't see. He got to see a lot of family, but he didn't see his friends, and um, and then flew back to London and had to quarantine again. So, but in London, nobody's moving, going
no,
anywhere anyway.
they're
They're all
not. Yeah.
kind of locked down.
Yeah.
So
So we'll
I would,
see. I mean, my family's in Calgary, and I have a lot of, beloved communities and dear, dear friends. So,
I think
yeah.
things are going to loosen up May, June, a lot, and I'm optimistic that we'll be spending time together. So if people are going to find you, we're just going to put your website link.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
How
Yeah,
about
that's a great
Facebook
point.
link? Do you have a group that people can drop into, or
Yeah,
um,
yeah. It's if you look up Calgary right now, it's called the Calgary Wild Women,
yes?
um, but eventually that's going to shift its name. But for now, that's what it is.
Okay. And all
Yeah.
right, we'll put all of those on here, and so what message would you have for folks, that are listening and stuck at home, and a lot of people are single and stuck at home, and
Mm.
you know what practices or what thoughts, work might you have, right now, that could, lift them up a little bit, or how to kind of get through this next little while?
Mm. My just
Putting
I
you on the
mean,
spot, sorry.
yeah, no, it's okay. There's I mean, a few things that come to my mind, but the thing that's standing out right now is to really reach out with your vulnerability, and realness with what's happening for you. And, in a way that's not like, how do I say this? Like, not, making yourself a victim or blaming anybody else, whether it's the person or the government or whatever, but actually just really sharing from your heart, what's alive for you these days? Are you feeling sadness or grief or sorrow? Or are you feeling in celebration and expansive, and really allow for the whole range of what is moving through you, and to share from that place? And I feel like that's where the deepest connections form, is when we actually show ourselves to the world and loved ones and strangers alike. And
Yes.
if you are feeling really lonely at home, just reach out. There's so many great resources. And, at first I was a little skeptic of, how much connection can we really do online. But after this year, I know because I've felt and I've witnessed this many times that such deep connection can happen with a human being across the world. And actually, in some of these workshops, when we really frame them in a beautiful way, it's like you almost forget that you're not right there with someone.
Yes.
So yeah, I would just really encourage to reach out, and if you need more resources, just shoot me an email. I'm super available and reachable. And I'm sure you've got some resources too, David. But I'm happy to share those 5 videos down below to get people started. And
So we'll certainly do that. One of the things that I encourage people is to make it a practice to call somebody every day, to reach out every day, um, to somebody that we think might need the company or might be alone or might, so not just reaching out to share our own, but to to um, to be of service to others,
beautiful.
Yeah. And then what happens after that, doing that for a while, then the phone's ringing, it's coming back, it's a, uh, people are calling, and I think that uh, people don't really care what we know until they know that we care, and how we show that we care is to reach out and share with them, or ask them how they are. I've learned new listening skills this year.
Yes. Yeah.
you know and I give a lot less advice.
Mm,
Just share love, and love is the answer. Love is it, and love brings us into the moment, and
mm,
love is the moment. And
mm, mhm.
so, yeah, that's been my practice this year, is talking to folks. And um so I'm glad that we're here having this conversation.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes.
Another thing that I feel is really important is to also welcome pleasure in your life. Like, um, pleasure and pleasure comes through the senses, and it's a really beautiful way to come into the present moment is through our senses. And so, whatever moment you have to just look out the window and see the way that the sun just glistens on that tree, or the way that your baby smells, or whatever it is that really is just like, ah, brings an exhale to your body. I wouldn't underestimate that either because it really does a lot for the nervous system to relax. And also, another practice that I feel is important, especially if you're on your own, is to give yourself pleasure, like through touch, through really conscious touch, like to really just touch your body in the way that you would most desire a lover to learn how to be your own best lover. This doesn't matter if you're single or not, at home alone or not. It's just important for everybody, I feel. And
Yes.
like our body doesn't register if it's somebody else touching you or you touching you. The same amount of chemicals and feel good, um,
Oh,
energy in the body
really?
flows. So
Okay,
yeah.
I have never considered that my body can't tell, I mean, it doesn't discern who's touching it.
Hmm.
Um, and that's, thank you.
Hmm. And even if it does, then it's like,
Yeah.
wow, how can I be my own exquisite beloved that just is whatever way,
Yes.
you can be soft, you can be fiery, you can whatever it is that turns you on, but like essentially, yeah, um, to give yourself that, and it just takes a moment.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I love
welcome.
that.
Hmm.
Well, going forward, yeah, I have this little group called What's Happening in Bali, YYC, or in Calgary. You know, uh, Post your stuff so that local people can, it's easier for folks that maybe aren't on your mailing list. Oh,
Mm.
that's another thing. Will there be a way? I'd like to help people find you or be on your mailing list. Because are you sending out emails? once a
Yeah,
month?
thank you. Yeah, yeah, I'm sending out emails and there's always some, yeah, resources and tools and as well as what's upcoming and happening. And I'm on a lot of free workshops these days as well. So there's so many great resources out there.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
suggest that people get on your mailing list because you have, your finger on the pulse globally,
Mm,
not just because you're on the other side of the world, but because you're plugged in the way we're just talking about. And
mm.
it's beautiful. How's Amir doing?
Amir's doing well. Yeah, he's what's he up to? Yeah, he's also supporting with a few startups. Some really cool, exciting ones that are coming on the market and online soon. And so, his gift in the world is really supporting people with vision to turn it into a profitable business. So that's
He's
what he's
he's a
working on right
business
now.
guy, isn't it? It's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, he is.
I
He's
I
super
think the
smart.
last time we did an interview, you were in a car. You and he were driving. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So
We were in Israel around this time of year, actually.
yes, it was that this time of year, and you guys stopped somewhere where you had reception, and there was five or six of us on a call together that we
That's right.
zoomed in, and
Yeah.
so you've been away that long,
Yeah, I've been away since February,
yeah.
end of February last year.
Okay, so you came back from Israel before you went away.
Hmm.
All right. Well, love to Amir and to all those folks that you're with in the Canary Islands, and well, it sounds like it's a really fun atmosphere to be in. You know, supporting each other in your creativity as well as, loving each other uh, in other ways. Like tonight with your voice
Mm.
workshop and all of that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. If you're just tuning in now yeah, what David's talking about is I'm in the Canary Islands right now on a creative retreat, which is really, really beautiful. It's a group of tantra teachers essentially, that have decided that if we're going to be locked down, we want to be locked down together. So, um, Shashi Saluna, who's an amazing, amazing human being, she's actually been doing this for 7 years. So it's not just because of lockdown. We would have done it anyways. However, it's a great place to be. So during the day, we're really working on our gifts in the world, our online projects and supporting each other to grow and expand and learn. And then we share our meals together. And then at night, we have community offerings that each of us facilitates. And so
Wow.
anything from open mic nights to tonight, we're doing a free your voice and improv session. Yeah, we've had ecstatic dances, we've had cuddle sessions. So this is my family now, my family unit.
Okay, I'm a little envious.
I encourage everybody, I mean, if possible, wherever you are, to create a little pod, like to
Yeah.
really have some people that you can set your own rules as to how you feel like you want to care for each other's safety and public safety and everything, which we've done. We've talked about that. Um, and then, yeah, create your own little bubble.
Yes. It,
We
it,
had a
it
mom here with her boy as well, which was really great, to
nice.
have them in our community as well and have a little one around. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, good for you. That's, your life is enchanted.
It is.
You're very blessed, and I'm happy for you that you're so blessed. And
Yeah.
you know, I think that in a way, we create our reality. You have created a really beautiful one, and that's a great example for all of us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I know that my life comes with a lot of privileges and ease because I don't have some of the stressors that many people do. I don't have small children to look after. My parents are good and healthy, all of that. So yeah, it does definitely offer a level of freedom.
Mhm.
Um, and I do feel like there are sometimes choices, that we can make as well. And I don't say that with any um, uh, feeling of that's what, everybody should or can do. But just, one thing I've always paid attention to since I was quite young was, okay, where is the opening? You know, where is the door opening, and can I bravely, courageously step through that, even if it's an unknown mystery?
Nice. Faith, that's called faith.
Mm, yes, I guess that could be called faith. I never thought of it that way, and yeah,
Just saying yes. The
yeah,
magic word is yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Love you lots. It's really,
Mm-hmm.
really, really nice. I feel quite uh, warm and your love does uh, come across the digital world, and
Hmm.
so thank you very much for sharing with us today in Calgary and around. Who it's hard to say where this will go, but
Mm,
thanks. And if you'd like to put it up anywhere yourself, I'd love it if you share the YouTube version of it. And
absolutely.
all right, and
I'll
so
do
love you
that.
lots. Love to your community,
Thank
and
you, David, and to you as well.
all right, and I'm sure we'll be connecting again. I've got about tons of people that that have said yes to being to doing this. So I thought I was going to do 2 a week, and last night in the middle of the night I said, "Oh heck, there's so many people." Lots of folks said yes, and so maybe we'll do 3 or 4 a week, and
Wonderful. Well, what
yeah,
a gift to the people who are listening and that you're sharing this with.
yeah, and certainly for me as well.
Mm.
Thank you. Okay, love you lots.
Yeah, take care, David. Thank you
Okay,
for sharing time with
all
me
right.
today.
Cheers. We'll talk
Bye.
again soon. Bye.